Welcome into the Beat Sessions, your place for all things music. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's talk about this new record from LL Cool J, entitled The Force, or Frequencies of Real Creative Energy, as it stands for. He released that on September 6th. This is his 14th studio album, and his follow-up to 2013's Authentic. This week is epic as far as the legendary figures that are releasing albums in each genre. I feel like LL Cool J, in a lot of ways, gets overlooked when it comes to that discussion. I feel like a lot of it might have to do with the shift towards his acting career and this newer generation not being familiar with him as a hip hop artist. It's crazy to think that when he dropped Radio, he was 17 years old still. I don't think he would turn 18 for like another 3 months. That record, the first full-length album that Def Jam ever released, teams up with Rick Rubin for a production. If you've never heard that record, it's incredible. It's super well known for its minimal production, obviously with Rick at the helm there. But LL Cool J just establishing his braggadocious left, right, just bringing the thunder with his rhymes on that album. I mean, he is not afraid to say anything at all the confidence in the world. And that's what is just so special about that debut. Everybody knew that they had someone that was going to be special. One of the pioneers, one of the legendary figures of hip hop. I'd argue that with Authentic, there wasn't as much authenticity maybe as most people wanted. Don't mean to dig on LL Cool J, but it did feel like that, with that record, he just, with his rhymes especially, he just wasn't up to snuff. It just felt like he wasn't really, writing music to his full potential. And so this new record, The Force, it's interesting. There's talk that it was like the GOAT Part 2. And should have been released maybe like a decade ago, but obviously stuff comes up and he wasn't really feeling it. Acting comes to the forefront of his career, and he just stops making music. And so it's great to have him back, and it's really interesting to read articles, to hear how humble he is about having to getting back into practice is what he talks about. He was a little out of practice, and it happens to all of us. I mean, if you don't really take the reins on something and do it every single day, it's pretty easy to lose your finesse, your power over something, right? And so it's a fascinating thing to read about and to hear, to listen to him talk about. But you got a guy that at the end of the day, one of the most talented MCs ever, and so he gets his skills back. But then it's more about how do I stay relevant? How do I continue to go out there and make music that people are going to want to listen to, that's not necessarily going to like be a chart topper or resonate in that way, because I don't think he really cares. I'd argue that. But the man has a reputation for, again, being one of the best hip hop artists of all time. So he doesn't just want to throw anything out there and call it a day, especially after 11 years. So, bringing in Q-Tip for production on this thing for the 40th anniversary of his career for Def Jam Records, this is an excellent way to celebrate, looking back on it now, what is one of the most pioneering and legendary companies of all time. And and kudos to Rick Rubin for identifying LL Cool J and seeing that potential. And I mean, I know there's a lot of people that were involved with that process there, but it's it's great to have him back on the label doing his thing. And there's just this is a record that LL's got a couple sides to him. He's got that hard side, right? And I think that at his his age now, he's like 56. You get a really just honed in perspective. I love the way that he talks and raps about society on this record. He talks about his experience through COVID. This record, no doubt that songs, inspiration taken from that time period. He talks about being able to throw on a mask and just go out into New York and walk around, and how cool that was to have that anonymity and to actually, see more of that, like the real side of humanity. He talks about how easy it is for people in his position to, just shut the doors in their little castle and lose perspective. And so, LL, he's rapping about real life. And that's something that I think a lot of people would argue is missing from contemporary hip hop is, true perspective on life, things that people can relate to, versus, LL's braggadocious nature. It's not necessarily so much about, well, on radio anyway, it's not about the jewelry. It's not, it's about being able to rhyme. It's about being the best MC. Like that's the pinnacle, right? That's what matters the most. None of the other stuff is really that important. And so I love that balanced with, he's got the ladies love Cool James. He's got that sultry romantic side, big R&B influence in his music throughout the course of his career, not on every album, but he's a guy that for his hip hop prowess, he's known for putting together a pretty damn good R&B track as well. And so you're not really feeling like he's not really like going with the R&B thing too much on this record, but there's moments in certain songs where you're getting that influence, and I definitely think that it's working. I love hip hop when you start to see that in the 90s with Biggie and other artists incorporating it's kind of like some of those smoother, softer, kind of yacht rockish style jams into the mix. So this thing, it kicks off with Spirit of Cyrus, and definitely just a roaring track featuring Snoop Dogg. Cool social commentary on this track. I definitely think the lyrics are worth pulling up and following along too. Thick bass, synths, and mid tempo. It's got this edgy, dark mood and dope bits of guitar. That's another thing. You talk about LL Cool J starting off with Rick Rubin. He's a cat that he's always tried to incorporate different influences into his music. This album is no exception, but I love the rock and roll element that's there. So the guitars on that song are great. Really dig that. Second verse is minimal, and I really like the build back. Just a little, playfulness in the structure there. My only hang up with this song is that Snoop, he's there for the hook. I wish he had a verse. I think if you'd given him a chance to spit a little more, it just would have made for a better collaboration. Just my opinion, but the song itself is pretty sick. Your title track is your second song. Synth like siren that opens up. It's interesting. Production there, simple beat and bounce in the bass, a different nuance in the bass as well as it progresses. It's just like just playful little moments that I enjoyed. All the textures shift towards a lighter melody, and then it takes this like sci-fi like turn while he's going at it. It's really an interesting song, very playful and fun. Saturday Night Special is your third track. That's featuring Rick Ross and Fat Joe. Great collaboration there. 90s R&B style hip hop with some psychedelic synths that are super fun. And, just butter. All these guys deliver on this track. It's a solid one. Black Code Suite is featuring Sona Joe. It's Sona Joberta, I believe is how you say her name, but like I from Gambia, and just an excellent influence there. Like amazing performance there. Little cowbell driving the percussion, has this minimal 70s funk feel to it, soul and drive, and just letting LL flow. And it's just a reminder of where hip hop came from too, lyrically. Like, never forget where you started is something that he states. And it just you talk about Q-Tip and his production on this record. Like, these songs are just so fun and so stimulating with him at the helm. And I really like the guitar on the coda on this song. Just beautiful vocal too. Like, I mean, really, Sona's appearance on this song is absolutely excellent. Definitely makes a wonderful track. Passion is your fifth song. Driving beat and a little scratching. I love the bass, keyboards moving out of space brilliantly on this track. And this is where you get a bit of that R&B influence. So I enjoyed that there. Proclivities is your sixth song, featuring Jay and Sweetie, and sci-fi synths and simple percussion. Got a little bounce in the bass. It reminded me of the Iggy Pop song Gardenia, but it's actually of there's an interpolation of Craig Mack's Flava in Your Ear. And it's a pretty cool little sample, and if you give it a second, you will definitely hear it. It's really, really cool in that song. Postmodern is your seventh track. Thick bass production, really has that Q-Tip signature, in my opinion, on it. Resonating synth, different rhythm elements that work in and out on the track. It's pretty cool. 30 Decembers, definitely dig the vocal or the lyrics on this track. Vocals are great. Follow along for sure on this one. Mid-tempo drums, and you get this like lo-fi sounding organ on the track. Has this 80s new wave feel with prog elements. Really a unique track. Your ninth song, Running It Back, is you got Q-Tip back at it. Just another just signature feeling track from him. Just no one does it like the dude. I love the bass. It's got that just a great jazz influence that's driving it. Loved it for that reason. Huey in the Chair featuring Busta Rhymes, just another great collaboration there. You get this lo-fi production, this mid-tempo drums, gentle walking from the bass, and just like a little tickle from the bass. I love the element there. Love the guitar as well. Has that just walk on by feel, honestly, is the song that I thought of. Basquiat Energy, as in Jean Michel, is your 11th song. Basquiat Energy's got this driving just breakbeat and thick electronic bass, super funky. If you're familiar with his art, it really, like you think about the stuff that he did in his career in this track, and there's definitely like a great feel of energy between both those things. I love the inspiration for LL there. Praise Him featuring Nas is your 12th track. Great, just minimal reggaeton feel on this song. The synth elements that build in and out are cool, and L just spits. Really a great song. Murdergram Do featuring Eminem. I mean, has more of like a signature Eminem feel for sure. And these guys just going back and forth at it. I mean, the exchange is pretty dope, and the piano driven turn that this song takes, I think, is pretty exceptional as well. And then The Vow is your closing track. Got some really cool collaborations, a number of them on there. He's just basically like ending this thing by introducing a bunch of great young MCs. He's got let me see here, Mad Squabbles on this thing here. Let a couple of these other names list off here real quick. He's got Mad Squabbles, Jay Sand, and I'm not really familiar with any of these guys. And Don Pablito. Yeah, Don Pablito. Just kind of passing the baton on this track. It's really a cool way to end this thing. 70s funk and soul synth element, got a thick beat, simple bass to back it, and just letting everybody spit to finish. Super nicely done. 14 songs coming in at 44 minutes. LL Cool J, thanks for coming back. He doesn't want you to call this a comeback because he'll say that he was always there, but thanks for getting back into the studio, giving us some new music, and giving us some new music that, man, like really it's been, I would argue that it's been a minute since you've put anything out of this caliber. So really cool to see you just doing your thing to your full potential. This is, I'm going to give this thing a 7.2 out of 10. We're going to vinyl please it. Can't wait to pick up the wax. And I hope you enjoyed this record. Hope you find this review helpful as well. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, do all the things to help me blow this project up in 2024. Stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews. And please tune in to Classic Wax on Monday mornings here at the Beat Sessions at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern, and we will see you next time on the Beat Sessions.